Chosen one. Listen carefully. Heaven has paused your scroll right now because your name has been written beside a divine date. You think it's just another November, just another 24th day passing by like the rest. But the Spirit of God is whispering this day is different. This is not a coincidence. This is divine orchestration. There are days that pass unnoticed, and there are days heaven records in gold. November 24 is one of those days. You feel it, don't you? That strange stirring inside. The pull you can't explain. It is the mark of those chosen for a specific assignment. For weeks, heaven has been aligning the pieces, shifting atmospheres, arranging divine meetings. You are not where you are by accident. You were positioned for a visitation, a moment where obedience could unlock a door that has remained sealed for years. Don't scroll away. Don't brush this off as another message in a sea of voices. This is a prophetic interruption. God is saying, pay attention, my child, for the moment you've prayed for is near, but it demands your attention. November 24 carries the weight of divine timing. Many will ignore it and continue as if nothing sacred is unfolding, and they will wonder later why what was promised never manifested. But you, chosen one, you are being warned ahead of time. Heaven's clock is about to strike a spiritual hour, and the Spirit is inviting you to align your heart before the sound echoes. The angels are already in motion. Assignments are being distributed. Doors are being prepared to open, and blessings are moving toward those positioned in faith. You cannot afford to be distracted. This is not the season to entertain doubt or delay. You've come too far to miss this moment. Every trial you endured this year was preparation for this alignment. Every rejection carved humility into you. Every heartbreak refined your discernment. Every closed door was heaven rerouting you toward divine accuracy. You didn't lose time. You were being positioned. You see, God never forgets those who carry His mark. You are His chosen vessel, designed to be the bridge between what heaven wants to release and what earth desperately needs. But even chosen vessels must respond. Destiny doesn't activate automatically. It responds to obedience. November 24 is your response test. You are not being called to grand gestures or loud announcements. You are being called to quiet obedience. Perhaps that means forgiving someone, releasing fear, stepping into prayer again, or saying yes to what you've delayed. The instruction will differ for each chosen one, but the outcome will be the same, a door that only obedience can open. The Spirit says, November 24 is not about a date on your calendar, it's about a decision in your spirit. When you align your will with His purpose, time itself bends to your obedience. Seasons accelerate. Promises find you. And what seemed impossible suddenly begins to unfold effortlessly. Take this seriously. Chosen one. The next few days are not random. They are holy preparation. Your prayers should sharpen. Your distractions must decrease. Your focus must intensify. Because on that day, heaven will look for those whose hearts are ready to receive what was written in their book. As the prophet wrote in the scroll of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, for the revelation awaits an appointed time, though it linger. Wait for it, it will surely come. That appointed time is drawing near. You can feel the urgency in your spirit, because heaven is aligning every detail around that prophetic hour. God has not forgotten the promise He whispered in your wilderness. He has simply waited for the exact alignment between your obedience and His purpose. So, lift your head, straighten your shoulders, stand as one who knows they are marked. You are not forgotten, you are favored. You are not behind, you are right on time. The countdown has begun, and your faith is the key. Heaven is waiting to see turned. Now, before you leave this moment, seal your obedience. Like, share, and subscribe, so this message continues to reach other chosen ones like you, those who must awaken before it's too late. And as a prophetic act of alignment, comment the number 777 below to declare, I am ready for my appointed time. And because when the trumpet of heaven sounds on November 24, those who have prepared will rise into their next season with supernatural acceleration. Don't let your blessing expire at the edge of your breakthrough. You have been chosen for this moment. You have been warned in love. Step into obedience now, before the door closes. Chosen one. The night speaks when the world grows silent. It is in those hidden hours, between one breath and the next, that heaven whispers secrets meant only for the awakened. You remember them, the dreams that unsettled you, the sudden stirring that woke you from deep sleep, the feeling that something sacred was calling your name. Those were not random thoughts. They were divine warnings, early signals of the moment now approaching. You have brushed them aside before, haven't you? Told yourself it was imagination, fatigue, or coincidence. But heaven never wastes words. Every whisper carried meaning. Every dream held instruction. Every shiver in your spirit was a message wrapped in mystery. The divine has been trying to reach you through the thin veil between worlds. There were nights you woke with your heart racing, unable to explain the heaviness pressing against your chest. You looked around, saw nothing, and tried to return to sleep. But the unseen realm was alive around you. Angels were guarding. The Spirit was speaking, and your destiny was being discussed in the courts of heaven. God has been speaking softly because He wanted to see if you would lean in, if you would train your ear to recognize His voice among the noise. Do you remember the dream that repeated itself? The one with doors you couldn't open, or light breaking through shadows? That was heaven's language. Dreams are the alphabet of God's warnings and promises. When you dismissed them, you delayed revelation. But grace has preserved you, and mercy still invites you to listen again. You've been told that God speaks only through thunder, fire, and miracles, but that's not true. Often, He speaks through stillness, through gentle impressions that tug at your heart. You hear Him most clearly when you quiet everything else. That's why your distractions have increased lately. The enemy knows that a distracted chosen one is a deaf chosen one. Chosen one, when you dream again, don't wake up and rush away. Write it down. Sit with it. Ask heaven, what are you showing me? Because every symbol, every sound, every face that appears carries divine intelligence about your journey. God never hides truth from His people. He hides it for them, waiting for the hungry to seek and find. Sometimes, His whispers come through conviction, those gentle corrections that tug on your conscience. You sense you should stop, repent, forgive, change direction. That's not guilt, it's grace. Conviction is proof that heaven still believes you can turn in time. When the Spirit convicts, it's not punishment, it's invitation. An invitation to walk in alignment before the blessing arrives. As the nights pass toward November 24, pay attention. Your dreams may intensify. Old memories may resurface. Encounters may feel more vivid. These are signals that your spirit is being recalibrated to divine frequency. The Holy Spirit is preparing your inner ear to recognize God's voice instantly when He speaks on that day. You may also notice increased warfare, restless sleep, strange tension, sudden discouragement. That's because darkness senses what's coming. The enemy attacks before revelation, hoping to exhaust you before the announcement of destiny. Do not yield. Rest in faith. Remember, even when you cannot hear clearly, heaven is not silent. God is never absent in the silence. He's speaking in ways your old self cannot yet interpret. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 33, verse 3. Call to me, and I will answer you, and show great and unsearchable things you do not know. Those words are not ancient history. They are your current reality. God is saying, call to me. Not whisper to the air, not hope someone understands, but call to reach out deliberately, urgently, faithfully. When you do, revelation will flow. He will show you the unsearchable, the things hidden behind the veil of your current understanding. So tonight, before you close your eyes, quiet the world, turn off the noise, whisper, speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Then listen not with your ears, but with your spirit. The answer may not come as words. It may come as peace, or as a sudden knowing that cannot be explained. That's how heaven speaks beyond language, yet clear as light. When you begin to honor those whispers, your life will shift. The same voice that guided Abraham, that warned Joseph in dreams, that strengthened Daniel in exile, now speaks to you, not to entertain you, but to prepare you. November 24 is drawing closer, and heaven wants you attuned, alert, and ready. Do not let the whispers fade again. The voice that calls you in the night is not ordinary, it is eternal. You are being drawn into a conversation that began before your birth. You are being awakened to destiny, written long before time began. Listen well. Chosen one, the night speaks, and heaven awaits your reply. Chosen one. Now, the truth begins to press heavier upon your heart, the truth about delay. Heaven has been patient, but time itself is beginning to tremble. Every moment of hesitation carries spiritual cost. Every postponed obedience becomes a thief, disguised as comfort. You have asked for breakthrough, but breakthrough cannot dwell in the same house as delay. You have prayed for divine speed, yet delay anchors the promise to the ground. God has whispered before, and you heard him, but you hesitated, thinking there would always be more time. You told yourself, I'll do it tomorrow, not realizing that tomorrow never arrives for the soul that keeps waiting for perfect conditions. Every delay births decay. Every pause in obedience invites darkness to plant doubt. You see, delay doesn't always look sinful. Sometimes it looks polite. It hides in excuses that sound reasonable. Too busy, too tired, not ready, not yet. But beneath those words lies fear, and fear, left unchallenged, will starve your destiny. The enemy cannot steal what you protect, so he distracts you until you surrender it willingly. Chosen one. The blessing heaven prepared for you requires movement. not frantic motion, but obedience in rhythm with divine timing. You cannot control outcomes, but you can control obedience. That's your offering. That's your key. Heaven doesn't ask you to understand. He asks you to move when he says, now. No. You have already seen the fruit of delay. Remember the moments when you sensed God saying, speak, but you stayed silent. When he said, let go, but you clung tighter. When he said, step out, but you calculated risks instead of trusting promises. Each moment felt small, but they built a pattern, a rhythm of resistance that dulled your spiritual sensitivity. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 32, verse 8. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. If you could see what delay has already cost you, you would move instantly. The friendships lost because fear kept you silent. The ideas unbirthed because doubt whispered louder than vision. The moments heaven prepared but found you unready. Still, the clock of mercy is ticking. Still, the door of restoration stands open, but only for a short while longer. This is why you have felt inner restlessness lately. It isn't anxiety, it's the Spirit stirring your soul, reminding you that spiritual pregnancy has a due date. If you hold the promise past its appointed time, it begins to suffocate under the weight of your inaction. Move. Chosen one. Act. Forgive. Begin again. Whatever obedience heaven is asking for, do it now. Don't let the enemy convince you that delay equals safety. It doesn't. Delay disguise danger as comfort. It tells you waiting will give you control, when in truth it steals your authority, one silent moment at a time. Tonight, tell yourself, no more delay. The same power that raised Christ from the dead lives within you. That power has no room for hesitation. Heaven is not waiting for perfection, it's waiting for your yes. And now, before you continue reading, take one prophetic act in faith. Type these words in the comments below. No more delay. No, write them not as decoration, but as declaration. When you type them, you are agreeing with heaven's timing, renouncing every form of procrastination that has chained your destiny. You're saying, I choose acceleration over hesitation, faith over fear, obedience over comfort. These simple words create a spiritual shift because they mark agreement between your heart and heaven's will. From this moment forward, every time delay tries to visit you, remember this declaration. Speak it aloud. Let it echo in your atmosphere. Watch how the heavens respond to your movement. Because obedience is not about speed, it's about surrender. And surrender births momentum. Every yes you give heaven moves you closer to the moment prepared for November 24. The countdown is not waiting for the lazy or the fearful. It is counting down to the obedient, the ready, the yielded. You have heard the whispers in the night. You have felt the tug of conviction. Now comes the hour to act. Heaven's eyes are upon you, not with judgment, but with expectation. Will you move? Will you rise? Will you obey before the window closes? The power to step forward is already within you. All heaven asks is that you use it today, not later. Let your yes be louder than your fear. Let your obedience announce to every delaying spirit, your time has ended. Chosen one. Have you noticed how everything feels slower lately? Conversations drag. familiar faces, seem distant, and even time itself feels like it has stopped breathing. That's not your imagination. When heaven presses pause, the natural world begins to echo the stillness of the divine. It is not punishment, it is invitation. You are standing in sacred suspension, a holy delay designed not to deny you, but to refine you. When heaven presses pause, it means destiny is being recalibrated. You may think nothing is happening, but in truth, everything is. The silence you feel is not the absence of God, it's the rearrangement of heaven's order. The spiritual machinery of your purpose is being adjusted so that when you move again, you move with precision. You are not being punished for what went wrong, you are being prepared for what is right. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? That tension between knowing something great is near, yet being told to wait. It feels like standing on a runway with wings ready to fly, but no permission to take off. That's because obedience is not just about movement, it's about timing. The right act at the wrong time becomes disobedience in disguise. And so, heaven halts everything not to frustrate you, but to protect you from premature exposure. There are blessings that must mature before they can bless you. The fruit of your calling must ripen in the sunlight of patience, or else it spoils under the pressure of haste. That is why you've been feeling divine stillness, a pause that stretches you beyond your comfort. You're learning that silence is not a void, it's a classroom. Do you remember the seasons when you begged for acceleration, when you asked God to make things happen faster? Yet now that He has slowed you down, you finally understand why. If He had moved when you wanted, you might have been crushed by the weight of what you weren't ready to carry. His pause was protection. His delay was mercy. Sometimes the most powerful move heaven can make is to stop everything around you until your heart catches up. You may see stillness as stagnation, but heaven sees it as synchronization. God refuses to promote you into chaos. He loves you too much to let momentum destroy you. Look around your life right now. The relationships that have drifted away, the plans that were postponed, the opportunities that vanished. They weren't accidents. They were strategic pauses. The divine conductor has silenced certain instruments in your symphony because it wasn't yet time for their sound. What you call loss, heaven calls tuning. In this pause, God is watching how you respond. Will you complain? Or will you trust? Will you interpret silence as abandonment or as preparation? The answer determines how long the pause lasts. You are being tested not in activity, but in stillness. Your patience is being purified into power. When heaven presses pause, you must learn to rest, not resist. The greatest breakthroughs often come not from striving, but from surrendering. You are learning to live in rhythm with heaven's breath, to move when He moves, to be still when He is still. The kingdom doesn't reward speed, it rewards alignment. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in Deuteronomy. Chapter 31, verse 8. The Lord Himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. These words breathe life into your stillness. God hasn't walked away. He's walking ahead. While you wait, He's preparing the next chapter. While you sit in silence, He's arranging voices that will sing when your moment returns. He has gone before you, clearing the unseen obstacles that would have destroyed what He's building through you. Chosen one, this pause is sacred. Don't fill it with noise. Don't try to fix what heaven has placed on hold. The silence is a signal he is near. Every unanswered question, every delayed outcome, every quiet night is full of divine activity. You are not forgotten. You are being fortified. When the pause lifts, you will realize that it wasn't wasted time, it was invested time. Your spirit will emerge sharper, your discernment deeper, your obedience swifter. You will no longer chase opportunities, you will attract them by alignment. The door that once resisted, you will open with ease because you waited when heaven said, "Be still." So breathe, rest, trust. Let the silence teach you. The clock of heaven has not stopped. It has only slowed long enough to ensure your blessing meets the right version of you. And when the pause ends, you'll find that what was delayed was never denied. It was divinely timed. Chosen one. The moment the heavens draw close, the enemy begins to panic. The closer your blessing approaches, the louder his distractions become. You have felt it recently, the sudden chaos, the misunderstanding, the unexplainable fatigue. It is not coincidence. It is spiritual warfare disguised as ordinary life. When you were far from breakthrough, the darkness left you alone. But now that the promise is near, the enemy will spend everything to keep you from crossing the line. He knows he cannot curse what God has blessed, so he tries to distract what God has chosen. His weapon is not always sin. Often, it is noise. He will send you invitations to arguments that don't matter, conversations that drain you, opportunities that glitter but lack glory. You must see beyond the surface. The devil does not need to destroy you if he can simply delay you. Remember, his goal is not only to wound your spirit, but to waste your focus. The enemy knows how to mimic light. He wraps traps in comfort, covers deception with familiarity, and whispers lies that sound like wisdom. Beware of the things that feel right, but lead to distance from God. You have reached a point in your calling where discernment matters more than speed. Not everything good is from God, and not every open door is an invitation to walk through. You are like a sailor steering through fog, guided by the faint glow of a lighthouse. The waves around you roar, but if you keep your eyes fixed on the light, you'll find your way to shore. That lighthouse is the voice of God. It doesn't flash wildly, it pulses steadily, guiding the faithful. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 26, verse 41, "Watch and pray so that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." No, chosen one. Temptation is not always about moral failure. Sometimes it's about surrendering your focus. Watch and pray, because distraction is the first step toward defeat. Every time you lose sight of your assignment, the enemy celebrates a minor victory. But tonight, that ends. You must guard your gaze. The serpent of Eden did not bite Eve first. He spoke first. Distraction always begins with a whisper. Protect your peace like a treasure chest. Feed your faith more than your fears. When you feel pulled in 1,000 directions, pause and remember. Not every noise deserves your attention. And hear this, your journey is not meant to be walked alone. Even soldiers of light need allies. And even prophets need community. This message you're hearing is part of a divine network, a gathering of those chosen for such a time as this. Every like, every share, every act of support is not for vanity, it's fuel for the mission. When you share this message, You're not promoting a person, you're spreading a signal into the darkness. You're lighting a torch for another soul who may be one word away from giving up. When you subscribe, you're choosing to stay connected to the flow of revelation, to the rhythm of heaven's voice that has already begun to shape your destiny. And when you choose to sow, to donate, to give even the smallest seed, you become part of the field where these messages are planted. Your support becomes like rain on the soil of someone else's awakening. Every gift becomes a ripple in eternity, reaching hearts across oceans you may never see. Think of it like this: a lighthouse cannot keep shining unless someone keeps the oil burning. Your generosity keeps that light alive. Your act of kindness fuels the flame that pierces through another person's darkness. Beloved, I am not asking from need. I am inviting you into partnership. Together, we can keep this voice echoing across the wilderness of digital noise. We can keep heaven's words reaching those scrolling through despair. When you give, you join heaven's team. When you share, you become a messenger yourself. Let every tap of the share button be an act of faith. Let every small donation be a prophetic seed. Let every subscription be your way of saying, I believe in this mission, because we are building something eternal, a network of chosen ones standing shoulder to shoulder, carrying the light forward. Do not underestimate your part. The widow's oil looked small until she poured it, then it never ran out. The boy's 5 loaves looked insufficient until he offered them, then they fed thousands. Your contribution of faith, of encouragement, of generosity carries that same divine multiplication. So as you stand firm against distraction, remember that unity strengthens protection. Heaven honors those who protect the light, those who keep the flame alive when darkness tries to snuff it out. You are not just a listener, you are a carrier of light. The battle is real, but so is the victory. And every act of support, seen or unseen, builds the kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. You are chosen for this hour, and heaven is watching how you guard the gift. Chosen one. The air around you has shifted. The days ahead are no longer ordinary. They form a countdown written by heaven itself. Each sunrise between now and November 24 carries weight, meaning, and instruction. This is not just time passing, this is prophecy unfolding one dawn at a time. You can feel it when you wake, can't you? That sense that something invisible is moving through the atmosphere. It's as though heaven has drawn a circle around your life and said, now, watch what I will do. The countdown has begun, and you are standing in sacred preparation. Each day between now and that divine appointment is a spiritual checkpoint. Heaven is watching not what you achieve, but how you align. Every decision, every word, every thought becomes part of your preparation. Some days will feel like testing, others like revelation, but all of them are part of the same story, the prophetic countdown to the fulfillment of what has been promised. You might notice unusual patterns waking at the same hour, feeling prompted to pray for specific people, or being drawn to Scripture without knowing why. These are not coincidences, they are the signals of alignment. Heaven is fine-tuning your spirit to the precise frequency of obedience. Think of a musician tuning a harp before a performance. Each string must carry the right tension to release the perfect sound. Too loose, and it will fall flat. Too tight, and it will snap. God is adjusting you in the same way. Not to break you, but to bring you into harmony with His timing. The days ahead will test your consistency. The enemy knows that if he can interrupt your rhythm, He can interrupt your readiness. He will try to lure you into distraction, to pull you away from prayer, to numb your spirit with the noise of the world. But you must remain steady, guarding your peace as one guards the flame of a candle in the wind. Every sunrise is a message. Every sunset is a reminder. Heaven is counting down, not in fear, but in excitement. There is joy in the throne room because God knows what's waiting for you on November 24. You are about to step into divine acceleration, into the moment where obedience meets reward. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 9, in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. End of clause. You see, chosen one, you have made plans, written goals, envisioned futures. But now, heaven is establishing the steps. Every detour you didn't understand, every delay that confused you, every closed door that disappointed you, they were all divine, rerouting. The countdown is not about what you will do. It's about what heaven will establish when you are positioned correctly. The countdown is not meant to scare you, it's meant to sharpen you. Imagine an archer pulling back the string before releasing the arrow. That tension you feel is not punishment, it's precision. Heaven is drawing you back so that you can be launched further than ever before. The pressure is proof that something powerful is about to be released. Be intentional with your days. Wake with purpose. Speak blessings instead of complaints. Journal the patterns you notice. Pray without needing perfect words. Even your smallest act of faith becomes a note in the symphony God is composing for November 24. Some of the things you've been praying for years will find their answers not gradually, but suddenly. Heaven moves in suddenlies when obedience is complete. Stay faithful through this countdown, because when the divine clock strikes, your name will be called in the unseen realm. And now, as a prophetic act of readiness, leave a declaration below. Comment, the number 444. This number is not superstition. It symbolizes divine order and heavenly establishment. When you type it, you are saying, I am aligned with heaven's countdown. You are agreeing with the timing of God and submitting your plans to His perfect direction. It's not just a comment, it's covenant language written in digital ink. Let each passing day find you steadier, quieter, stronger in spirit. Let no distraction pull you from your focus. The world will rush, but you will rest. Others will panic, but you will perceive. You will move not by impulse, but by instruction. The countdown has begun, and heaven is watching your preparation with joy. You are not late. You are right on time. The clock of destiny ticks with anticipation, and when the final moment arrives, the world will see what heaven already knows. You were ready all along. Chosen one. There is a reason heaven has been whispering to you about November 24. It is not a random date carved into the calendar. It is a divine intersection, a meeting point where promise and obedience collide. There is a mystery sealed within that day, and only those who have walked through the refining fire will be able to receive it. You must understand that God does not release glory without purpose. Every blessing carries weight, and not everyone can hold it. That is why you have endured so much stretching lately, spiritually, emotionally, even physically. You have been prepared to handle what others would drop. Heaven never entrusts its treasures to untested vessels. Think back on your journey. There were seasons when you cried out for answers and none came. Times when it seemed your prayers hit the ceiling and returned unanswered. Yet, all along, something was being written about you in the archives of heaven. Every tear was ink. Every prayer, a line in your divine scroll. And now, that scroll is about to be opened. The hidden scroll of November 24 is not an object, it's an event. A moment in which time and eternity touch. It's the day when unseen promises will manifest in visible form. Not because you finally earned them, but because heaven has declared. It is time. But make no mistake, revelation always comes with responsibility. When the hidden becomes visible, when the sealed becomes spoken, heaven expects stewardship. God will not reveal mysteries to those who treat them casually. That is why He has been training your sensitivity, so that when He reveals, you recognize, chosen one. You may not know the exact form your revelation will take. For some, it will come as opportunity. For others, reconciliation. For others still, a divina idea, a healing, a door, a name. But all will carry the same signature, the fingerprint of divine timing. There are angels assigned specifically for that day. They have carried your answered prayers in silence, waiting for the command to release them. On November 24, they move. You will not need to chase what heaven has already dispatched. You will simply need to be where God told you to be. But this kind of release requires focus. You must protect the atmosphere around you. Guard your speech. Words build or break preparation. Avoid conversations soaked in doubt. Speak life, even when you feel none. Your faith is not just belief, it's participation in the creative process of God. Every word you release becomes a brick in the wall of your promise. When heaven reveals hidden things, darkness panics. Expect resistance. You might feel strange opposition just before the 24th, a sudden heaviness, confusion, or restlessness. Do not mistake this for failure. It's confirmation that you're close. The enemy always thrashes loudest before he loses his grip. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 18. I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Let that verse settle deep within you. The pain you've endured was never pointless. The delays, the betrayals, the lonely nights, they were birth pains for the glory now forming inside you. Heaven is not giving you something, it's revealing something already placed within you long ago. Every test refined your discernment. Every heartbreak strengthened your compassion. Every closed door sharpened your vision. You are not the same person who began this journey. You have been transformed into a vessel capable of carrying revelation. On November 24, the hidden scroll will unfold, and what was once mystery will become movement. You will understand why the detours had to happen, why certain prayers were delayed, why specific people had to leave your life before this moment arrived. The clarity you've begged for will come like dawn breaking after a long night. But remember, revelation is never the end. It's the beginning of greater responsibility. Once you see what heaven is doing, you must walk in it. You cannot return to old patterns once divine light has touched your path. The cost of revelation is obedience, and the reward of obedience is glory. So, wait with expectation, not anxiety. Live as one who knows heaven is about to speak openly. Your patience has not been wasted. The scroll has not been forgotten. The seal has not been broken early because heaven trusts you enough to wait for the right moment. When that day comes, you will not need a sign. You will feel it. The atmosphere will shift. Your spirit will ignite. And you will know, this is it. You will sense heaven's breath on your skin, the divine pulse in your chest. And you will realize that all this time, heaven was preparing not just the blessing for you, but you for the blessing. Chosen one. The path toward divine purpose is never crowded. And now you are learning what it means to walk it alone. This is the test of isolation, the silent chapter between the promise and its fulfillment. You may look around and see fewer faces, fewer hands, fewer voices cheering you forward, and wonder if something went wrong. But heaven wants you to understand, solitude is not abandonment, it is refinement. When God calls you higher, He doesn't shout over the crowd. He separates you from it. Isolation is heaven's classroom. It is the place where the noise of approval fades and the voice of purpose becomes clear. Many misunderstand this season because it feels like loss. Yet it's the opposite. You are being repositioned away from distraction, purified from dependence on validation. At first, the silence feels unbearable. You scroll through messages and realize the people who once claimed to understand your vision have grown distant. You start to question your worth, wondering if perhaps you've done something wrong. But listen carefully. Chosen one, heaven removes voices that would interfere with your next instruction. Some were not enemies, only seasonal companions who could not breathe in the higher altitude of your next assignment. God knows that too many opinions drown revelation. He knows that if you keep asking others what to do, you'll never learn to hear Him for yourself. That's why the phone goes silent, why the crowd disappears, why even familiar prayer partners feel distant. The teacher is speaking, and He wants your full attention. Remember the prophets of old: Moses on the mountain, Elijah in the wilderness, John in the desert. Every chosen one met God in isolation before being sent into influence. You are walking that same ancient pattern. Heaven trusts you enough to sit alone in silence without losing your faith. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 3, I will give you hidden treasures, riches stored in secret places, so that you may know that I am the Lord, the God of Israel, who summons you by name. Do you see? Hidden treasures are not found in crowded places. They are discovered in solitude, in the stillness where heaven can whisper secrets too sacred for public ears. God summons you by name, not by title, not by reputation. He calls the person beneath the persona. You are being invited into the sacred secrecy of divine intimacy. In isolation, you learn to distinguish His whisper from the world's noise. You begin to realize that His presence is enough, that you can breathe even when no one understands, that you can walk even when no one applauds. This kind of strength cannot be taught in comfort. It must be forged in loneliness. Isolation is also where your spiritual muscles form. When no one else prays with you, you learn to pray from the depth of your spirit. When no one else encourages you, you discover how to encourage yourself in the Lord. And when no one else sees the vision, you learn that faith doesn't require witnesses, it requires obedience. The enemy will try to exploit this season. He will whisper that you are forgotten, that your calling was an illusion, that the silence means rejection. But he lies. Isolation is not the absence of God, it's the presence of preparation. Heaven hides you before it reveals you. Even seeds are buried before they bloom. This hidden season protects your potential. God cannot let everyone see what He's forming, yet, because some would mishandle it, some would mock it, and some would try to take credit for it. So He conceals you beneath layers of obscurity while He shapes you into someone unstoppable. There will be moments when you ache for companionship, when your heart longs for human understanding. In those moments, remember that even Jesus withdrew from the crowds to pray alone. Power is always birthed in private before it is displayed in public. So, stop mourning what is left. The isolation that feels empty is actually full of unseen angels, full of divine attention, full of future fruit. God hasn't turned away. He has leaned in closer. You are not being punished. You are being trusted with silence. When you emerge from this place, you will not only carry wisdom, but authority. People will wonder where your peace came from. And you will tell them it was born in the quiet nights where only God's voice remained. The wilderness will become your credential. The solitude will become your strength. One day, when you stand in the place of fulfillment, you'll look back and realize that isolation was not the detour, it was the design. It was the only way for heaven to make you unshakable. You'll see that every lonely moment carried divine purpose, that every unanswered call was grace, and that every closed circle was protection. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every divine journey when the noise becomes almost unbearable. You hear voices from every direction, advice, opinions, doubts, even your own thoughts echoing too loudly. The world seems filled with static, each frequency fighting for your attention. But heaven is training you now to distinguish one sound from them all, the still, unmistakable voice of God. It is not the loudest voice you'll hear, it is the truest. It doesn't compete, it calls. It does not shout to impress, it whispers to invite. When everything around you is chaos, His voice remains calm. That is how you know it's Him. The voice of fear rushes. The voice of God rests. You must learn to listen not with your ears, but with your spirit. The Holy Spirit speaks in gentle nudges, in sudden knowing, in peace. That doesn't make sense. Sometimes He doesn't say a word. He simply removes your peace to warn you. When that happens, pause. Don't push forward. Peace is the language of divine permission, and its absence is heaven's way of saying, wait. You have been deceived before by voices that sounded right, people who meant well, situations that looked safe, paths that seemed profitable. But discernment isn't about logic, it's about alignment. You cannot reason your way into revelation. You must recognize it. That's why the Spirit has been sharpening your sensitivity. Every test, every silence, every isolation was preparation for this moment, to train you to hear. As the Apostle reminds us in his first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 10, God has revealed these things to us by His Spirit. The Spirit searches the deep things of God. Think about that. The Spirit searches. He doesn't skim the surface. He dives deep. And when you stay close to Him, you are drawn into that same depth. He reveals what logic cannot find, what intellect cannot decode. You begin to hear heaven's heartbeat, to sense divine direction before words even form. This is the kind of hearing you need now, because the days ahead will test your discernment more than your strength. The enemy's strategy in this hour is confusion, counterfeit guidance, half-truths, emotional manipulation. He wants you exhausted so that you'll choose quickly instead of wisely, but the Spirit teaches slowness. He says, don't react, respond. Oh no, when you respond from your spirit instead of your emotions, you disarm the enemy's trap. You start walking in rhythm with heaven's timing instead of the world's pressure. This is how chosen ones win battles without shouting, without striving, by staying anchored in inner stillness. But here is the secret. The enemy cannot imitate peace. He can mimic excitement, passion, even religious emotion, but never true peace. When God speaks, peace enters, even if the instruction is hard. When the enemy speaks, anxiety rises, even if the offer looks perfect. Learn this, and you will never be deceived again. You may feel surrounded right now by competing voices, friends giving conflicting advice, your own heart tugging one way, your logic another. But listen, chosen one, the Spirit is cutting through the noise. His voice will not always tell you what you want to hear, but it will always tell you what you need to hear. Sometimes he will say, be still. Other times, move now. At times, he'll command, let it go, even when letting go hurts. But every instruction carries protection. Every warning carries mercy. Heaven's voice does not control, it liberates. So in this hour, quiet yourself. Turn down the volume of opinions. Fast from unnecessary noise. Listen not to reply, but to recognize the same God who called Moses from the burning bush, who whispered to Elijah in the gentle breeze, now speaks inside you. You are not waiting to hear him. You are learning to trust that you already do. And now, as a prophetic act of surrender, type these words below. Speak. I'm listening. Less. Type them slowly, deliberately. Let each word become a doorway. When you comment those words, you are not just responding to a video, you are answering a call. You are saying, God, even if I don't understand everything, I am ready to hear you clearly. You are declaring to heaven that you choose clarity over confusion, peace over panic, faith over noise. From that moment on, the Spirit will begin to highlight things you once overlooked. Scriptures will glow with new meaning. Random conversations will confirm what He's already spoken. Dreams will return. This time, clearer. You will begin to notice His fingerprints everywhere. Hearing God's voice is not about effort, it's about intimacy. Stay near. Stay quiet. Stay willing. The one who spoke galaxies into being is speaking to you now. Not because you are perfect, but because you are chosen. Chosen one. Sometimes you forget how vast the plan truly is. You see only the fragment, the struggle, the waiting, the delay, but heaven sees the pattern. The divine tapestry being woven behind every moment. What feels random to you is rhythm to God. What seems like chaos is choreography. Every yes you've whispered, every tear you've hidden, every act of obedience has been a thread in a greater design. You have wondered, why does this season feel so heavy, so complex? It is because your obedience is not just about you. Heaven is building through you a bridge for others who will come after. Your faith is laying foundations in unseen places. The very thing you are enduring will one day become another person's rescue. This is the mystery of divine strategy. Your steps are part of a blueprint that includes generations, nations, and destinies beyond your own. When you obey on November 24, heaven's design will shift across spiritual borders you cannot yet see. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 29, verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and give you a future. That verse is not a comfort alone, it's a commission. It means your life has strategy written into it. God's plans are never singular, they ripple. Every choice you make sends waves through eternity. When you obey, others are set free. When you hesitate, destiny pause. You are part of something far greater than your own story. Imagine an artist painting on a vast canvas. From up close, all you see are brushstrokes, some dark, some bright, some chaotic. But step back, and the image begins to form. God is the artist, and your life is one vibrant stroke in his masterpiece. You may not understand the color he chose for this moment, but without it, the painting would be incomplete. When you said yes to the call, heaven began linking you to others, people you may never meet, but whose paths will cross yours through words, prayers, and even digital light. That's why this message exists, not as entertainment, but as a connecting flame. You're part of a vast constellation of chosen ones scattered across the earth, each shining in their own dark corner. Together, you form a pattern only heaven can see. When you share this message, you extend that light. It's not about algorithms, it's about alignment. Every share becomes a torch passed to another soul who may be lost in the fog of confusion. When you like, you are saying, I see this truth. When you subscribe, you are choosing to remain under the flow of revelation that heaven is pouring out. And when you donate, when you sow into this divine mission, you become like the keeper of an ancient well. Each contribution is a bucket of water poured back into the source so that others can drink. You're not funding words, you're fueling awakenings. You are ensuring that light keeps traveling, that hope keeps speaking, that truth keeps finding the weary. Think of this work like a ship carrying light through stormy seas. The waves are high, the winds fierce, but every prayer, every share, every seed from those who believe keeps that ship moving forward. You are part of its crew. Your support, small or great, becomes the wind in its sails. And perhaps you wonder, does my little act really matter? It does. The kingdom multiplies the smallest offering. A widow's 2 coins became eternal testimony. A child's few loaves fed thousands. Your obedience and generosity hold the same power when placed in divine hands. Beloved, I speak this not from demand, but from devotion. If you have been nourished by these words, if your spirit has found direction here, then help keep this flame alive. Let your heart give, not from pressure, but from partnership. Let your hand share, not for applause, but for awakening. Your like, your share, your seed, all of it becomes a living echo of your faith. It tells heaven, I am not just receiving, I am contributing. You move from listener to builder, from spectator to participant. Because this mission is not about one voice, it's about a movement of light carriers. You are one of them. Together, we sustain what heaven has begun. So, as you prepare your heart for the days ahead, know this: every gesture of support keeps the oil burning in the lamp. Every act of faith keeps this voice speaking life into dry places. You are helping build the bridge that heaven is designing across time and nations. You are seen, valued, and vital. This isn't charity, it's covenant. Together, we are part of heaven's strategy to awaken the chosen across the earth. Chosen one. There is a stirring in the unseen realm, a gathering of those who, like you, have walked through fire and not been consumed. You are not alone in this divine journey, though you may never meet them face to face. There are others who carry the same mark of heaven, who have been shaped by the same trials, refined by the same silence, and called by the same voice. Together, you form what heaven calls the remnant. The covenant of the remnant is not written on paper but in spirit. It is a bond forged through obedience, sealed in prayer, and activated by endurance. The world does not recognize this covenant because it is invisible to fleshly eyes. Yet, in the unseen, it burns like fire across the earth, a network of light hidden beneath the surface of human understanding. You are part of that sacred network. Every time you obey, another light flickers to life. Every act of faith strengthens the unseen bridge that connects you to others who have also chosen truth over comfort, purpose over popularity, and faith over fear. The remnant are heaven's secret weapon. They do not seek fame or recognition. They seek alignment. They are scattered across nations, languages, and generations. Yet they breathe in unison, carrying the same rhythm of divine purpose. What happens to one echoes in all. That is why, lately, you have felt sudden waves of emotion, burdens that were not yours, joy that came unannounced, tears with no explanation. You were feeling the pulse of the body you belong to. God is knitting the hearts of His chosen ones into one prophetic heartbeat. The unity He is building is not of institutions or denominations, it is of spirit. It is the fulfillment of a promise that light will always have witnesses, that truth will never be extinguished from the earth. The covenant of the remnant carries both privilege and responsibility. You are not just chosen to receive revelation, you are chosen to guard it, to live it, to embody it. You carry what others may never understand. And because of that, you will often walk misunderstood. But do not grieve misunderstanding. It is a mark of distinction. Those who see differently must live differently. It was proclaimed in the second letter to Timothy. Chapter 2, verse 21. Those who cleanse themselves from what is dishonorable will be instruments for special purposes, made holy, useful to the Master, and prepared to do any good work. End of quote. That verse describes you, chosen one. You are being prepared for special purposes. You may have wondered why the purification process has been so painful, why relationships dissolved, opportunities disappeared, and comforts were stripped away. It was because heaven was cleansing you from what could not coexist with glory. You cannot carry divine fire in contaminated hands. The remnant is not large in number, but immense in power. God has always worked through the few, the ones willing to stand when others bow. Gideon's army began with thousands and was reduced to hundreds before victory came. Heaven does not count by quantity, but by quality of obedience. You are part of that rare company whose loyalty cannot be bought and whose faith cannot be shaken. This covenant connects you to divine timing. When you move in obedience, others receive breakthrough. When you pray, chains fall off. People you've never met. When you worship, darkness trembles in regions you've never visited. The remnant functions like the nervous system of heaven, sensitive, invisible, yet essential. You will soon begin to recognize others marked like you. There's a spark in their eyes, a quiet strength in their spirit, a peace that doesn't make sense. When you meet them, you won't need explanation. Your spirits will recognize each other instantly. These are your people not by bloodline, but by spirit line. They carry the same covenant pulse within them. This network will become vital as the world grows darker, while fear spreads. The remnant will radiate peace, while confusion multiplies. They will walk in clarity. Heaven will use their unity to anchor divine order amidst global chaos. You are part of that stabilizing force, chosen not just to survive the shaking, but to lead through it. And know this, the covenant cannot be broken by distance, disrupted by opposition, or diluted by time. It was established before you were born. When God marked you, He marked 1,000 others who would stand with you. Unseen, yet aligned. Together, you carry the continuity of heaven's agenda through the generations. Chosen one. The air is shifting again. You've walked through preparation, silence, and solitude. And now you stand on the edge of activation. Heaven is asking for a prophetic act of alignment, a gesture that says, I'm not only hearing, I'm obeying. This is where faith becomes visible. This is where promises meet participation. God has always required an act before a release. Noah built the ark before the rain came. Abraham lifted the knife before the ram appeared. The widow poured oil before the jars filled. Faith that remains internal cannot unlock external miracles. The act itself does not create the miracle, it reveals readiness for it. Chosen one. You are being asked to do something simple yet sacred, to mark yourself as ready. The act might not make sense to those who look with natural eyes, but heaven recognizes obedience as language. You are not performing for attention. You are responding to instruction. This prophetic act is not about performance, it's about positioning. When you act in faith, you send a signal into the unseen realm that says, I am aligned with heaven's will. The moment you move, spiritual doors begin to shift. Angels take their places. The divine plan, once waiting for your obedience, starts to unfold. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 37, verse 5, Commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will do this. And therefore, that is the essence of this moment. Commitment before clarity, trust before manifestation. You don't need to know how God will do it. You just need to do what He said. Commitment is the seed of completion. When you commit, heaven moves. Perhaps your prophetic act is to forgive someone who wronged you, to give something you've withheld, to start what fear told you to delay, or to simply kneel and pray. Whatever it is, do it with intention. Do it knowing that obedience is not small, it's supernatural. Think of how the Jordan River parted. The water didn't move when Israel prayed about stepping in. It moved when their feet touched the edge. That one step changed everything. The act became the announcement. We trust you, Lord. That's what heaven waits for from you now, movement that mirrors belief. This is also why symbolic actions carry such power. They transform invisible faith into visible reality. When Moses lifted his staff, the sea split. When the Israelites shouted, the walls of Jericho fell. When you act in faith, No matter how small, heaven recognizes your motion as authorization, but obedience must be pure. It must not be done for attention or approval, but from love and trust. Heaven examines motives before miracles. If your act springs from fear or pride, it loses its weight. But if it flows from surrender, it unlocks glory. Chosen one, your prophetic act today is to mark yourself as one who is ready to see, to receive, to step forward into divine fulfillment. And to seal that readiness, perform one more act in faith. Comment the number 555 below. That number carries the meaning of grace multiplied, divine change, and transition. When you type it, you are saying, Lord, I embrace the transformation you are bringing. I will not resist the shift. I will move with it. This isn't superstition, it's synchronization. It's your digital altar, your symbolic declaration that you choose to align with heaven's unfolding plan. When you take that small step of obedience, you mirror what's happening in the spirit. The atmosphere around you responds. Suddenly, the heaviness lifts. The fog clears, and you begin to feel divine motion again. Your act, however simple, becomes a prophetic key, unlocking what's been delayed. Every act of obedience multiplies grace. Each time you say yes, another layer of resistance breaks. This is how chosen ones move mountains, not by striving, but by surrendering. You are learning the rhythm of heaven, to act without fear, to move without seeing, to trust without proof. Your willingness to act today tells heaven that you are not merely a hearer, but a doer of the word. You are no longer waiting for signs. You are the sign. You carry within you the confirmation that God is still speaking, still choosing, still revealing His glory through human vessels. Soon, you will look back and realize that this small act of alignment marked the turning point. The blessings waiting for November 24 will recognize your obedience and come searching for you. Because obedience does not chase blessings, obedience attracts them. So, take this moment seriously, but not fearfully. Heaven isn't testing your worth, it's affirming your readiness. The countdown has narrowed. The time for wondering has passed. Now begins the time of walking in divine rhythm. Your act may look small to the world, but in heaven's ledger, it's monumental. Every yes you whisper echoes in eternity. Every declaration of faith becomes a seed of destiny. Every number you type in obedience becomes a symbol of grace multiplied over your life. Chosen one. The days of waiting are nearing their end. The horizon begins to shimmer with a light you've not seen before. Soft, golden, alive. It is the hour of visitation. Heaven is drawing near, and the invisible is about to become visible. What has been promised in whispers will soon echo aloud. The sacred moment you've been sensing, praying for, weeping toward it is upon you. When heaven visits, it doesn't knock politely. It enters with presence. You may not see with your eyes, but your spirit will know. The atmosphere around you will shift. Peace will thicken. Time will seem to slow. And your heart will recognize that eternity has stepped into your space. It will not feel like excitement. It will feel like stillness. Like the breath of God hovering over creation. Once again, this is what November 24 has been leading to, the intersection of divine visitation and human readiness. Heaven doesn't visit the unprepared, it visits the willing. Every tear, every test, every act of obedience was training your heart to carry this moment. Chosen one. Understand this truth. Divine visitation is not only about blessing, it's about revelation. When heaven visits, it reveals the unseen structure of your destiny. It reorders your priorities. It exposes what cannot remain. It reminds you that everything temporary bows before what is eternal. There is a sacred trembling that precedes every visitation. Even now, your spirit feels it, a strange awareness that something greater is near. You can sense heaven watching, listening, waiting. Angels are stationed like sentinels, ensuring that nothing distracts you at this threshold. The Father's gaze is fixed on you, not with judgment, but with joy. He has waited for this alignment more than you have. You may recall moments when you thought God was silent, when your prayers felt unanswered. But silence was not absence, it was approach. Heaven was drawing closer, calibrating everything to the precise moment when glory could safely touch your life without breaking you. If glory comes too early, it crushes. If it comes too late, it misses. But when it comes in perfect time, it transforms. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 33, verse 14, "My presence will go with you, and I will give you rest." Oh, that is the essence of divine visitation, not just presence, but rest. When God visits, striving ceases. You no longer fight to be seen, to be heard, to be known. His presence satisfies all hunger. Key, every storm, fills every empty space. The rest he gives is not sleep, it's wholeness. It's the peace of knowing you are exactly where you're meant to be. When heaven visits, the natural bends to the supernatural. Circumstances begin to shift without explanation. People are moved into and out of your path with divine precision. Opportunities arrive that human effort could never produce. You will not need to chase them. They will recognize the scent of obedience upon you and come to find you. But you must stay sensitive. Do not rush the visitation by trying to define it. Heaven does not conform to human scheduling. The visitation may come in prayer, in stillness, in worship, or even in a conversation that seems ordinary. God often hides glory in simplicity so that only the humble can see it. When His presence comes, don't analyze abide. Don't question, receive. There is a posture heaven recognizes: quiet, surrender. The heart bowed low, the hands open, the spirit saying, "Do whatever you will." That posture draws the tangible presence of God like a magnet. Many will miss this moment because they expect fireworks. But divine visitation often feels like peace, too deep for words. The wind may not blow, the earth may not shake, but something inside you will awaken. You will know that God Himself has passed by. And when He does, everything ordinary becomes holy. The same house, the same room, the same air, but everything will feel different. You will sense the residue of heaven clinging to your soul. It will not be emotional hype. It will be sacred reality. You will not want to move, because moving feels like leaving. After the visitation, clarity will come. Instructions will follow. God never visits without purpose. He will whisper what's next, perhaps a name, a place, a step. Write it down. Guard it. What He reveals in visitation becomes your compass for the next season. Do not boast about this encounter. Protect it. The holiest moments are not meant for display. They are seeds meant to be watered in secret until they bear visible fruit. The light you receive in private will shine naturally in public without you forcing it. Chosen one. As the light of visitation fades into the rhythm of your days, something new begins to unfold. The great separation. This is the moment when heaven divides what can stay from what must leave. When purpose and distraction can no longer coexist. You've prayed for clarity. But clarity always comes with consequence. To see what God is doing means you must also see what cannot remain. This separation is not punishment. It is purification. It is heaven's way of protecting what has just been birthed within you. After every visitation, there is a sifting. The presence you encountered was not meant to decorate your life. It was meant to redefine it. Now, anything out of alignment will start to fall away. Relationships, habits, even thoughts that no longer fit the divine pattern will begin to loosen their grip. You will feel it as discomfort first, a restlessness in certain places, a sudden heaviness in familiar spaces. Conversations that once brought joy now feel dull. Don't resist it. This is heaven cleaning house. The new oil cannot flow through old vessels. You are being emptied of what once sustained you, because it cannot carry what comes next. Many will not understand your quiet withdrawal. They will accuse you of pride, of change, of distance. But they cannot see that obedience has moved you into a higher frequency. You are not rejecting people, you are responding to purpose. The path of separation is narrow because few are willing to walk it without resentment. But you, chosen one, are different. You understand that holiness is not isolation, it's distinction. Heaven spoke through the book of Leviticus, chapter 20, verse 26, "You are to be holy to me because I, the Lord, I am holy, and I have set you apart from the nations to be my own." Those words echo across centuries and settle in your spirit now. Set apart. You were never meant to blend in. The calling upon you requires consecration. The closer you move toward your divine purpose, the smaller your circle will become. Not because others are less worthy, but because not everyone can breathe the air of destiny. Separation exposes attachment. You begin to see where your loyalties have been misplaced, where you've leaned on what was meant to be temporary. God, in mercy, removes these supports, not to make you fall, but to teach you to stand. Faith grows stronger when it no longer depends on familiarity. This process may ache. Let it. Spiritual surgery always hurts before it heals. The Father's hand is gentle but firm, cutting away what endangers your future. Every tear you shed during this pruning is water for your next harvest. Do not confuse pain with punishment. It is preparation. You'll notice how certain patterns begin to break, almost by themselves. Old habits lose flavor. Conversations no longer satisfy. You will find yourself craving solitude more than attention, worship more than entertainment, truth more than comfort. These are signs that your spirit is maturing. Heaven is tuning your appetite for what it will soon entrust to you. And yes, loneliness will visit again. But this time, it will feel different. It will not feel like lack. It will feel like focus. You are not empty. You are being refined. You are learning to love without clinging, to serve without seeking reward, to walk without needing to be seen. This is the mark of the separated ones, invisible to men, yet unmistakable to heaven. Even the way you think will change. You will find yourself pausing before you speak, discerning before you move, listening before you answer. You'll recognize the weight of every word, the power of every silence. God is shaping your character to match your calling. Your spirit is becoming steady anchored, not tossed by emotion. When heaven separates, it also sanctifies. Everything left in your life after this season will carry divine purpose. The people who remain will not drain you, they will sharpen you. The opportunities that stay will not distract, they will align. You will not have to guess. Peace will confirm what is meant to remain. And when the process is done, you will notice how light you feel. What once consumed your energy will no longer move you. The noise that used to agitate your mind will seem distant. You will move with quiet authority because your heart will no longer be divided. Separation is not about loss, it's about clarity. You are being refined into someone who cannot be easily swayed. You are learning that to carry great power, you must first embrace great purity. Chosen one, let the separation finish its work. Do not rush to fill the empty spaces. Let heaven refill them in time. The pruning may be painful, but the fruit it will produce will feed many. The loneliness you feel now is sacred space where old attachments die and divine maturity is born. When you emerge from this refining, you will not recognize yourself. You will carry a peace that cannot be explained, a strength that cannot be faked, and a glow that cannot be hidden. Heaven will trust you with more because you have proven faithful with less. And when November 24 dawns, the separation will make sense. You'll see that what left made room for what was waiting. You'll understand that being set apart was not about exclusion, it was about elevation. Chosen one, the fire of separation has purified you. And now, the glow of obedience begins to crown your life. What you've endured was never wasted. It was a sacred refining, a heavenly forge, preparing you for elevation. This is the season where heaven places the crown of the obedient upon the heads of those who chose surrender over stubbornness. You have become one of them. Crowns in the kingdom are not made of gold or jewels. They are woven from obedience, from every yes whispered in tears, from every prayer spoken in faith when no one was listening. Your crown has been forming quietly with every moment you chose God's will over your own. Obedience looks small to the world, but in heaven, it shines brighter than talent, louder than eloquence, stronger than strategy. It is the language of love, the purest proof of trust. When you obey, you announce to heaven, I believe you. Even when I do not understand, that faith moves mountains because it mirrors the faith of Christ himself. It was declared in the book of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, having stood the test. They will receive the crown of life. Think of a tree standing after a storm. Its roots go deeper because of the wind. Its branches stretch wider because of the rain. You are that tree now, firm, grounded, fruitful. The winds that once threatened you have now made you stronger. And like that tree, you are meant to offer shade, fruit, and oxygen to others. That is why I must say this with sincerity. When you share this message, you are planting seeds from your tree into the soil of other souls. Someone somewhere needs the peace you now carry. You become a living vessel of encouragement, a branch extending light into another's night. When you like or subscribe, you're not feeding vanity, you're fueling visibility for divine truth in a noisy world. These gestures, though simple, are like ripples spreading through digital waters. They carry messages of hope into hearts scrolling through despair. And when you donate, when you choose to give, you pour oil into the lamp that keeps this flame burning. Every seed, large or small, becomes part of a harvest of transformation. Think of it like tending a vineyard. Each vine must be watered for the next season's fruit. Your generosity keeps the vineyard alive so that others may taste the sweetness of revelation. Perhaps you feel small in comparison to what is being built, but never underestimate a single drop of obedience. A river is made of millions of such drops, and without them, it could never carve valleys or carry ships. Your faith, your engagement, your support, they're the lifeblood of this mission. You are part of something vast, something eternal, chosen one. Your crown glows brighter when you give, not from pressure, but from purpose. When you share from the overflow of gratitude, heaven multiplies what you release. It's the divine economy. Obedience begets blessing. Generosity invites grace. You are not a bystander, you are a builder of light. So as you read these words, take a breath and look at how far obedience has brought you. Every loss became wisdom. Every delay became direction. Every prayer became foundation. You are no longer the wounded one. You are the wise one. You are the evidence that obedience pays, that surrender leads to strength, that faith always bears fruit. Your story itself is now a testimony. Someone needs to hear it. So before this moment fades, share your reflection in the comments below. Write from your spirit. Speak from your journey. Your words might be the spark that reignites another chosen heart that's nearly gone cold. Because this isn't just about one voice, it's about many flames joining together. Together, we become a constellation of obedience, lighting the sky of this generation. And yes, like every kingdom worker, you are invited to keep the oil flowing by sharing, by supporting, by staying connected. Let your generosity be like perfume poured on the feet of Jesus, not wasted, but worship. Let your comment, your share, your giving, and your prayer all become parts of one song. Thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Now, you have worn your suffering well, and now you will wear glory, not for pride, but for purpose. Your crown is your calling made visible, and heaven smiles as you rise into it. You have passed the test, chosen one, and now the light you carry will guide others home. Chosen one. Now that your crown rests upon you, its weight begins to change how you walk. You notice your steps becoming slower, not from weariness, but from awareness. You are learning to carry glory with care. Every movement now sends ripples into the unseen. Every word carries consequence. This is the ripple of glory, the divine chain reaction that begins when obedience touches eternity. You may think your story ends with your own transformation, but heaven never stops at one vessel. When light lands on you, it reflects, refracts, and multiplies. The ripple begins in silence, moving from your heart to your home, from your home to your circle, from your circle to cities you may never visit. The world changes quietly when one chosen one chooses rightly. There is a pattern hidden in divine mathematics. Heaven multiplies obedience. One act of surrender can rewrite generations of pain. One prayer whispered, in faith, can protect descendants not yet born. One kind word spoken in God's timing can heal the hidden wounds of another soul. You are the start of that wave. The ripple has already begun. You've noticed how people respond differently around you, more peace in your presence, more honesty in your conversations, more hunger for meaning in those who hear your words. That isn't charisma, it's the afterglow of glory. The Spirit flowing through you begins to rearrange the atmosphere around you without effort. You have become a conduit, a vessel through which heaven touches earth. This is why the battle was so intense before now. The enemy wasn't afraid of who you were. He was terrified of who you would become once you understood your ripple. He tried to silence you, isolate you, and exhaust you, because he knew that one healed, chosen one carries enough light to disrupt entire territories of darkness. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 8, verse 12, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but have life. That light of life now burns within you. It is not symbolic, it is substance. It's the same light that hovered over the deep at creation, the same light that guided Israel by night, the same light that burst from the tomb on the third day. When you follow Christ, that light becomes part of your spiritual DNA. Everywhere you go, shadows retreat because you carry illumination. The ripple of glory is subtle yet unstoppable. You will not always see its full reach, but heaven keeps record of every effect. A word you spoke months ago may now be the reason someone chooses hope instead of despair. A prayer you whispered last year may be protecting someone from harm today. The kingdom measures impact differently. It counts obedience, not applause. Glory travels in silence. Like perfume filling a room, it doesn't announce itself. It simply transforms everything it touches. You won't need to strive to be influential. The presence you carry will speak louder than any promotion could. People may not know why they feel peace when you enter, but heaven knows. You are releasing divine fragrance, the scent of surrender. The ripple of glory also restores what was broken. Your obedience has begun repairing things you didn't even know were damaged: family lines, generational wounds, ancestral patterns of fear and poverty. When one person aligns with heaven, entire genealogies realign. You are healing what history tried to harm. This is the mystery of the chosen. Their private devotion rewrites public destiny. You don't need a platform, you need purity. The pure in heart see God, and when they see Him, they reveal Him. That is how revival truly begins, not in crowds, but in consecrated hearts like yours. Glory does not stay contained. It seeks movement, expression, manifestation. You will begin to see new creativity, ideas, and divine strategies flowing from your spirit. These are not just projects, they are extensions of heaven through your obedience. Businesses will be birthed, songs will be written, books will be inspired, relationships will be healed, all flowing from the overflow of glory resting upon you. Do not fear the responsibility of influence. God has trusted you with it because your heart has proven loyal in the hidden place. Influence without humility becomes corruption, but influence anchored in worship becomes transformation. You are not called to dominate, but to illuminate, to be a living reflection of grace. Wherever the ripple travels, restoration follows. It moves like light across water, reaching corners you cannot reach, touching hearts you'll never meet. carrying hope to the weary. One day, in eternity, you will see the full map of your ripple, the faces, the lives, the moments forever changed, because you said yes. Chosen one. The air feels different, now quieter, fuller, like the pause between a heartbeat and the next. You have reached the edge of the journey, the summit of the divine, unfolding. November 24 is no longer a distant prophecy, it is here, pulsing in the present. The heavens lean close. Creation itself seems to hold its breath. You stand where eternity and obedience meet. The story that began with a whisper now concludes in revelation. The signs were never coincidences. The delays were never punishment. And the silence was never neglect. Every part of the path was orchestration. You have been walking through the architecture of destiny, each step measured, each season purposeful. And now the design reveals itself in full. You were being prepared for a day that would echo forever. Heaven's plan is never random. It moves in cycles, in divine patterns that loop through generations. What you decide on this day does not stay within the walls of your life. It reverberates through time. Your obedience becomes a seed planted in eternity. What you choose today, heaven will water for years to come. The ancient words in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, Z. I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. This open door stands before you now. It was never opened by effort. It was unlocked by endurance. Heaven has witnessed your weakness, your tears, your questions, and has chosen to reward faith that refused to die. The door is not symbolic, it is real. It represents the beginning of a new order in your life, a phase where the supernatural becomes natural, where favor follows function, where presence replaces pressure. Chosen one. As you cross this threshold, understand the sacred weight of the moment. November 24 was never about a date on a calendar, it was about alignment in the spirit. Time itself bowed to the will of God, so that this day could manifest exactly when your heart was ready. Heaven is timeless, but you are not, and yet, for this moment, both realms have met in perfect synchronization. The atmosphere around you is pregnant with possibility. You will notice unusual stillness, even in ordinary places. That stillness is not emptiness, it's the sound of heaven listening. The angels who once waited now move freely, carrying instructions, releasing answers, aligning outcomes. The blessing you feared you had lost has not vanished. It has been waiting for this alignment. You will begin to see signs of manifestation. Doors that were sealed tight will start to open naturally. Relationships that ended in confusion will suddenly make sense. Long-forgotten promises will surface again, now matured and ready. You will look around and realize that the very landscape of your life has changed, not through your striving, but through your surrender. But remember, every open door carries responsibility. Blessing without stewardship becomes burden. Heaven does not crown the distracted, it crowns the disciplined. The revelation you carry now must be guarded like sacred flame. The same fire that warms can also destroy if handled carelessly. Walk humbly in the favor that follows this day. There will also be those who do not understand your change. They will see your peace and call it pride, your focus and call it distance. Do not explain yourself. The anointing you carry is not meant to be justified. It is meant to be demonstrated. Let your fruit speak where your words no longer need to. Chosen one. November 24 will mark more than breakthrough. It will mark transformation. You will not return to what was, because what was cannot contain what is now. The person who began this journey months ago no longer exists. You have been refined into one who can carry eternity in daily life. You will walk through days that feel ordinary, but nothing will be ordinary again. Even your presence will shift rooms. You will see signs of God's favor in small details, the right conversation, the unexpected provision, the timing that aligns perfectly. These are confirmations that heaven's clock now ticks in rhythm with your obedience. And in the quiet of your spirit, you will hear the Father's voice, not as a distant echo, but as familiar companionship. You did not miss it. You heard me. You obeyed. And now you will see. The decisions of this day will echo into eternity. Generations you'll never meet will feel the ripple of your yes. The doors you open by obedience will remain open for others long after your footsteps fade. This is legacy not built by fame or noise, but by faithfulness. Chosen one. If these words have found you, it's because heaven wanted them to. You were not scrolling by chance, you were being guided. You've walked through revelation, silence, testing, and glory. And now you stand at the edge of transformation. The message has been spoken. The choice is now yours to carry it forward, to live it out, and to let it echo through others. If this journey stirred something in your spirit, don't let it end here. Share this message like you'd pass a torch in the dark. Someone, somewhere, needs the same light that found you. Your share might be the spark that reignites another weary heart. Take a moment to breathe and reflect. Then, leave a comment below. Tell what part spoke to you. What moment awakened your faith? Every testimony written here becomes another stone in the altar of remembrance we build together. And if your heart feels led, subscribe, stay connected, and keep walking with this growing family of chosen ones. This isn't just content, it's a movement of light spreading across the world. Let's keep it burning. Like, share, and speak life. You are chosen, and the story is only beginning.